All right, welcome to the show. I'm super excited for the show today. Today in the studio, I have my friend Nate Amidon. Did I say that right? Amidon?
You nailed it.
Nailed it. This is your first podcast.
Yeah, this is my first in-person in a studio podcast for sure.
How you feeling?
A little nervous.
A little nervous? That's
Yeah.
okay. A little nervous. What's funny about that is you're a little nervous. You're sitting in the studio with me.
Yeah.
Yet your part-time job, you've done a few things. Tell us about
Right.
that. What's your part-time job now?
Yeah. So part-time, I'm a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force Reserves, a C-17 pilot.
A C-17 pilot.
Yeah.
Is that the biggest cargo plane?
It's not. It's not. It looks like it could be, but the C-5 is actually the biggest.
Oh,
so
okay.
you can tell between a C-5 and a C-17. C-5 will open up at the nose.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And the C-17, I must say, it's cooler because it's in all the Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
So anytime like Optimus Prime jumps out of a plane,
It's
always
C-17.
out of a C-17.
What was that video I put on WhatsApp the other day for our group?
Yeah.
What was that video? Was that a gunship C-17 or was it just a slow-mo?
Yeah, just a slow-mo C-17. Okay. So they don't have C-17 gunships.
Okay.
You know, I asked for it, but they wouldn't give it to us. So
is there a B-17?
No, there isn't. But they've talked about putting, the Moabs in the back and dropping them off. And it may have happened, but I don't know about it. Yeah.
How many missions have you done over your career?
Oh God, I don't even know. Yeah. To be quite honest, I've got over like 4,000 hours. 1,000 of that's in Iraq, Afghanistan, flying missions. So,
but you're nervous to be in here. In the studio.
No, it's different.
It is different.
Well, I will say I did there's a discipline in the Air Force called the combat camera. And so they'll fly with crews and have a video, and take video of the mission. So in 2009, after the tsunami in Japan, I flew a mission with combat camera because we were the first plane to go into Sendai airfield. So it got completely just destroyed by the tsunami. And so they wanted us to come in as we were delivering supplies. And I did an interview there on camera.
Okay.
So that was new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I did a podcast, I was so nervous. And that was my very first time ever doing the first radio show I did. I wasn't nervous at all.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't the guest. I wasn't the host. They brought me in and they just started asking me questions about credit and finances and taxes and said that it's a piece of cake.
Right.
And then the first time I did my own radio show, because I started this show in 2011. Yeah. And it was called Your Credit Matters Radio Show. And it was in San Diego on KPR, 12:10 a.m. KPRZ, the oldest radio station in San Diego.
Sure.
And I started at 10 to 11 on Saturday. And within a month, they offered me Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 7 during drive time.
Nice.
And that's how I got to know Dave Ramsey, because he was on at 10:30 or 9:30. I can't remember. But he was constantly pushing and pressuring the radio station to give him my spot. And they're like, this is like people's favorite show. Because I was talking about credit. And this is 2011.
Yeah.
We were still in that 2008 crunch, the 2012. And so I had basically 5 hours of radio a week on credit.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty popular show back then.
Right.
But I remember how nervous I was. So you know what I had my TV celebrity coach. I call him my celebrity coach. His name is Clint Arthur.
Okay.
And he told me a story of one of his clients she was the Doublemint twins, I think is what they were called back like in the 70s.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that.
I remember the Doublemint twin commercials. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she had said that they had met Elvis Presley.
Okay.
And Elvis Presley was super nice to them. And he said something like, "Are you nervous?" And I'm not even going to try to do the Elvis Presley voice. My coach, Clint Arthur, is really good at it. But he basically said, if you got butterflies, that just means you're excited.
Yeah.
And you care about it. So it's okay to have butterflies.
Yeah.
Because you got butterflies, it means you care. If you didn't have butterflies, it means you wouldn't care at all.
Well, I mean, you're constantly nervous. Yeah, I was nervous the first time I flew a plane. I was nervous the first time. I'll tell you when I was the most nervous flying the C-17 was you start out as a co-pilot. You're always flying with someone senior, and then you go to aircraft commander school, and then you're always flying with instructor during the school, and then you go do some check rides to become an aircraft commander, and you're flying with an instructor and evaluator pilot. But then at some point, you're off on your own. And I remember that feeling when I was first flying by myself, looking over and being like, that co-pilot's brand new.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, there's no help here. Right. And so, yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, which is always just lean into the discomfort, try to do things that make you uncomfortable.
That's the saying that it's not my saying. I say it all the time is, if you want to become successful at something, whether it's business, employee, or any skill, you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. And if you're not comfortable being uncomfortable, you'll never get any better at any skill,
right?
Including flying, including being an entrepreneur,
yeah,
or anything. I'm taking up, one of my goals this year is to learn how to play guitar, and I know I'm going to suck. I'm going to suck so bad for a while. I played piano in high school, so I know how to read music, but I don't know how to play a guitar. Yeah. I know my fingers are going to hurt. Right. I'm going to be uncomfortable. But it's so important that you are, as an entrepreneur or anything, be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, so tell me about your first solo. I'm a pilot as well.
Right.
So you've been flying. I spent 15 years on a medevac helicopter, a Huey. Sure. And then I got my private pilot's license 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So I love flying. I absolutely love it. I haven't flown since my last accident. My last flight was September 6, 2021. I had an engine failure on takeoff and a hard landing where it ripped my foot off my leg and shattered my right leg. So I can't wait to go back up. So tell me about your first solo.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of break this up into two, because the first real solo. So I went to the Air Force Academy, graduated, and for a while they had training at the Air Force Academy, but they had some accidents. So they once you graduated and were going to go to pilot training, you get your private pilot license with a private school like you went through. So my first solo in a Cessna 172 was at Centennial Airport in outside of Denver. Now, it's a super busy airport.
Yeah, it's very busy.
Yeah, and so your first solo is like a pattern solo, pattern only. And man, I was awful. And I had what I now realize, which is crazy, not having flown for so long. But I mean, I think I was like 300 feet off altitude in the pattern. And there was some Learjet that, had to avoid me. And for me, I was super cocky and young, and I was like, oh, it's easy, but not really knowing like how close I came to something dangerous. But I think the real solo was in pilot training. So we'd fly this older jet trainer called the Tweet. It's a T-37. And I remember my instructor pilot on the first flight we did, we cranked the jet engines. They wouldn't start. So the instructor pilot started bouncing up and down in the seat. And apparently that unstuck some valve.
Bouncing up and down the seat.
Like making the whole plane move, and then the engine started. So I always had that in the back of my mind when I was flying solo. Yeah, same thing, pattern only. But the thing about the Tweet is you can pull G's. It's a really fast G onset. And so, you can rack it up to 90 degrees and pull. And if you've ever been in a G situation, it starts to just close in on you.
Yeah, your vision closes in on you.
So on my first solo, I was, again, kind of cocky. And I was like, so I racked it and pulled really fast. And man, that window closed pretty close. And I was like, and then I, pulled off the stick, and I was like, man, I just got really close again on my first solo to augering it in. So, yeah, it was nerve wracking, but.
There's that saying that says there's no such thing as old and bold client, or what is the saying? There's old clients and there's bold clients, but there's not old, bold clients.
Oh, right.
Clients. I'm saying clients. There's old pilots and bold pilots, but not old, bold pilots.
Exactly. Yeah. And
say it right, because I know I'm screwing that up.
yeah, I mean, it's the idea that is the longer you fly, the more you realize things can go wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Because you know more about things that you've seen or experiences, or really what you've heard from your buddies. And so now when I fly, because I'm kind of on the tail end of my Air Force career, I'm a lot more conservative.
Yeah. I went and got my pilot's license private, and I hired this medically forced retiree of the airlines.
Sure.
And then he lived in Turlock, California. He was married to a woman who was worth a couple $100 million.
That's nice.
And so he was a pilot for fun. And he was an airline pilot when he met her so many years ago.
Sure.
And he never had the work, if you will, but as an airline pilot, you get really good money.
Yeah.
But he wanted to still fly. So I paid him like $2,000 or something in cash.
Sure.
And then I rented a hoopty. It was like a 1967 Piper. It wasn't an Arrow. It's a 4-seater. I can't remember. Low wing.
Yeah.
This thing hadn't been painted since the 70s. Original engine. I mean, it was a piece of crap. And literally every single time I flew it, every time, Nate, every time I flew it, something broke.
Yeah.
Every time.
Right.
And my first solo, I had an engine out. On my first cross country.
Oh my God.
I had an engine out. On my first solo, I lost radios. So here I am coming in first solo with no radios.
Yeah.
So, but the pilot, or the owner of this aircraft, was named Otis.
Okay.
And Otis joined the Air Force when he was 15 years old. He lied about his age, like many people did back then.
Yeah.
During World War II, became a B7 or B9 pilot, some bomber.
Sure.
And he's 85 years old. He's the manager of this airport in Turlock. And so I rent this plane from him, and I remember saying something, I was cocky. This is 12 years ago. I wasn't young, but I said something like old and bold pilots or something. And he goes, well, that's actually not true, because you don't become an old pilot unless you're a bold pilot, because otherwise you crash. And I remember one day he showed up at the airport, got out of his car, and he had a walker.
Mm-hmm.
So he's hobbling, whatever, walkering over to the airplane, somehow gets up on the wing, pulls himself up into the airplane.
Yeah.
Starts up and takes off. He's 85 years old, can barely walk. So he comes back and we're talking, and I'm like, how do you have a medical? Like, you can barely walk. He goes, medical? I don't have a medical.
Yeah.
He's like, no one would give me a medical to fly a plane, which is, you have to have a medical to be certified.
Sure.
He's like, what are they going to do? Throw me a non-medical school pilot? I'm 85, years old.
Yeah.
They're not going to throw me in jail.
Yeah.
So
no, that generation of pilots had to, aviation was generally new. There weren't a ton of these regulations around, and they kind of just operated on their own, did whatever they needed to do.
I mean, the panel in those old planes, if you ever
Sure.
go to the museums and look at the panels, it's like there's nothing there.
Right.
And you're flying across the ocean, in the dark and getting shot at. And the reason I had an engine out on my very first cross country was because they didn't deliver gas to the airport the day before. Otis knew that I had my cross country and wanted to make sure that it didn't get postponed. So he went to the gas station with a 5-gallon jug of gas in the back of his car, filled it up, and brought it, and then dumped it in the airplane.
Yeah.
So the reason that I lost the engine on takeoff in Sacramento was because he put car gas in the airplane motor. It doesn't work. So it was enough for me to fly there, but when I turned it off and then started it, got some air bubbles or whatever.
Sure.
So I got 50 feet up in the air and it quit. I landed, ran off the runway into the grass. I get my shit and I'm like, I am done. I'm done with this plane. And they come out, they're like, hey, you can't leave that plane. I'm like, it's not mine. I don't care. And I got an Uber back from Sacramento to Turlock.
Nice.
So fun times.
Yeah.
So you haven't always been a pilot. You did you go to? So you said you went to the Naval Academy. So let's back up a little bit. Where'd you grow up at?
Yes, I grew up in Minnesota. Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah,
You don't even sound like you're from Minnesota.
Yeah, because I left when I was 18 to go directly to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. So so basically I've been in the military ever since 18, right?
Okay.
And so first one, so in the Air Force Academy, you end up leaving in June to go into basic training. So, you graduate, you're with all your buddies, and then you're the first one gone and you're out.
Mm-hmm.
So so did 4 years at the Air Force Academy.
How'd you like Colorado Springs?
Well, you don't see it a whole lot because you're in a military school, but I mean, it's a beautiful place, right? Yeah. And they have the campus up in the foothills. I mean, it's completely gorgeous. But
did the wind here? We're in Boise, Idaho right now. Did the wind here today remind you of Colorado Springs?
It did. It was like the windiest spot, imaginable, because you're right at the base of the foothills. So you get, every evening, all of the wind would just like come howling down. And then the winter, it's freezing and snow.
I think it's one of the windiest spots in North America.
Yeah.
And that's why the Air Force Academy is there, is for the glider schools and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned how to fly in Turlock, and then I lived in Lake Tahoe, which Lake Tahoe Airport is the top 10 most deadliest airports in the world. And very, very windy. Right. So I bought an airplane before I even got my pilot's license. And the first thing after buying the airplane is I hired another instructor for mountain training.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
To teach me how to fly in high winds. And because if you can't land in like this wind right now, I obviously I wouldn't go out in this, but if I had to land in this 35 mile an hour gust or 50 mile an hour, whatever's happening right now, I'd be comfortable with it because I've done it before.
Right.
As long as it wasn't just like a 90-degree crosswind, which is, otherwise we'd end up like that all-female crew in Canada. Yeah. Yeah. Except for that wasn't caused by wind.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, flaring's important.
Yeah. Flaring is important.
It's actually, aviation happens, and it's usually not mechanical errors. It's usually pilot errors, and there's processes and procedures and training for a reason. Yeah.
I think I was told by my instructor that 90% of general aviation crashes, 90% of general aviation, which is like, you and I flying a plane, not the military or airlines.
Yeah.
But 90% of it is caused from engine failure. And 90% of the engine failures are caused by running out of fuel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what killed John Denver.
Yeah.
He didn't want to stop and get gas because it was going to take time and cost too much. I purposely, I think I was telling you this, that I will go and purposely have 2 tanks. Then I'll put it on the low tank and wait for me to run out of fuel while flying.
Okay.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, probably.
It's kind of nerve-wracking. But I'll do it. I'll be like at 15,000 feet.
Yeah.
And so the engine starts sputtering, but I want that muscle memory of, holy shit, what just happened? And you reach down, you switch the thing, and full throttle, etc. So well, it's kind of scary.
And actually, like, so I was a safety officer for a while in the Air Force, and how aircraft accidents happen, how you investigate them, it is really interesting, right? And because it's almost never a one thing that happens.
Oh no,
it's the sequence of things, right? And so I'm a big fan of like the Swiss cheese model, if you've ever heard of that before. But the idea is you have all these threats. And imagine like 6 slices of Swiss cheese, and they all have holes in them, right? And it's that one threat that gets through all of the holes because they're all lined up so much, right? And so from a process risk mitigation factor, and it doesn't just apply to aviation, right? This applies to all risk mitigation. Yeah. You really want to try to do your best to decrease the size of the holes and make sure that there's no clear path for an error chain to get all the way through. So I always found that super interesting, right?
I like that. I think I went to, were you at the Matthew Dix EO event?
I did not make that one.
So he had he was talking about how accidents happen
Mhm.
and how you ignore it. And I went up and spoke about how my last time I flew, how there were about 5 things in a row
Yep.
that I ignored.
Right.
And it ultimately almost cost me my life. It cost me my leg, but fortunately with good medicine, they put it all back together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's rarely just like one thing that happens.
Right.
It's usually a combination. So what do they call it? The Swiss cheese?
Yeah. So it's a Swiss cheese risk mitigation model. It's, you can throw it up on the Googles. And
Okay.
it'll come up.
On the interwebs.
Yeah. But it applies not just to aviation, right? It can apply to any, building a company and where your company's going to fail, or, how this client engagement's not going to work. Because it's never really one thing. It's usually a sequence of things. And it's it's an interesting paradigm for how you look at risk mitigation.
What year did you graduate the Air Force Academy?
So 2003.
2003.
Yeah.
And then how soon after that did you go overseas?
Well, so I spent a year in Columbus, Mississippi at pilot training. So that's where I, flew the Tweet, and then went into what they call the tanker cargo track. So you end up flying like a Learjet to learn how to do some of those things. And then you have to do another 6 months in Altus, Oklahoma. Speaking of windy, right?
Yeah.
And to learn how to fly the C-17. And then I was first stationed at McCord Air Force Base, which is outside of Seattle.
Okay.
And when I showed up, it was 2005. So it took about 2 years from graduation to get to the unit. So we were in the height of Iraq, right? And the squadron has maybe 40 some pilots. And I showed up and there was 2 pilots in the entire squadron because everyone was just out flying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I showed up, got settled for maybe a couple of days, and then started flying missions.
Okay. And how long did you stay in Seattle?
So I was there for 4 years, and kind of bounced between upgrade trainings and flying missions, and then got 5 years in Hawaii, which was pretty awesome, right? So I basically flew in the Pacific, resupplying, going to Asia, all those places.
I think I talked the last air show I went to in Reno. I talked to C-17 crew from Honolulu.
Yeah.
And I thought they told me this had been 10 years, but I thought they told me it took them like 5 hours to get from Honolulu to Reno.
Yeah.
And like commercial is like probably 7, because it was 5.5 hours from LA. Yeah. So it'd be like 7.5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of the flight path.
We generally fly about the same speed as an airliner, and usually on the same tracks. Sometimes we can go more direct, but
they were telling me they were flying at like 30, 35 or 40,000 feet.
Yeah.
And they got like a 250 mile an hour tailwind.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Now on the way back, I don't know that I want to be on that C-17 on the way back.
Yeah. It's if you can catch the jet stream.
Yeah.
And
that's why they said that they caught the jet stream that
right.
day and they were just cranking.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the fastest jet stream I ever got was 150 miles an hour. My plane does almost 200. So I was doing 350 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I blew right past the airport.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'd been flying that route from Tahoe to San Diego to do my radio show for every week. I'd fly it back and forth. And this was years into it.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of on autopilot.
Sure.
And not really paying attention, just doing my thing. And then next thing, I'm almost in Mexico. I'm like, oh, I missed the airport. Got to turn around here.
That happens, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes people fall asleep, and there's those too. Yeah.
I used to put my previous spouse was known to be very prickly and known as like a porcupine, cute and cuddly, except for you didn't want to get too close.
Yeah.
So she would get in the airplane and sometimes she would not stop and just bitching. And so I would literally go and fly up to 12, 15,000 feet. Yep. And within about 90 seconds, she was out cold because I'd put oxygen on and I wouldn't tell her what I was doing. I'd put oxygen on. And so I'd fly up to like 15,000 feet and she was out. And then I would descend back down to 12,000 and fly the rest of the way to Tahoe. So never not a single word out of her.
Yeah.
She never knew what was going on.
So-
She's always just like, I'm always so tired when I get in the plane. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I slept good last night. I don't either. So speaking of that,
Yeah.
you married?
I am. Yeah. Been married for 15 years, 3 kids.
You know, my pilot friend used to say it felt like 15 minutes underwater. 15 years felt like 15 minutes underwater with no oxygen.
Yeah.
So 15 years. You
15
got
years. Yeah.
how many kids you got?
3.
3.
Yeah. So 13-year-old daughter and twin 10-year-old boys.
Fun.
Yeah. Kind of like the Doublemint twins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait for so they're filling up my lake right now. But when I got back from Hawaii, I sent you that picture.
Mhm.
When I got back, I had like 15, 16 kids in my backyard
Yeah.
fishing in my pond.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was literally every cast they
That
were
was-
catching 2 and 3 pound bass
Yeah. That was a big bass.
because it got super warm. So it woke them all up.
Yeah.
They've been hibernating all winter. I don't know
Sure.
if technically that's the term for
Right.
So all you fact checkers, don't fact check me online because I don't know if they hibernate or not, but I think
Yeah.
they sleep.
Yeah.
But they woke up and they were it looked like a hot tub on the pond. They were just going crazy.
Nice.
But now that they're not draining, but they're letting water out of Lucky Peak because of the snow melt, they're filling my pond now. So I have a 4-acre pond.
Yeah.
So they're not biting right now.
Okay.
But probably in 2 weeks from now,
Mhm.
3 weeks from now, once everything kind of stabilizes the temperature and
Yep.
stuff, we'll have the kids come over for some fishing.
Yeah. That'd be great.
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah,
Even your
yeah.
daughter.
Yeah. Get her out.
Yeah. Have her.
Chase chickens around.
And then I'll charge the kids for the worms. They got to clean out the chicken coop.
Okay.
So you've been married 15 years. You got
Yeah.
3 kids, a 10-year-old twin boys, and then
Yeah.
a 13-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
And you're part-time in the Air Force Reserve.
Right.
So what do you do full-time then? What's your
So-
full-time gig?
Yeah. So I run Form 100 Consulting.
Okay.
And so we're we're agile consulting firm. And yeah, I mean, it might make sense to kind of go through the history of how this, because I didn't come out to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, because why aren't you a pilot?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, why aren't you
that's a great question.
commercial pilot right now for FedEx or UPS
Yeah.
making $300,000-400,000 grand a year?
So every single one, not every single one, almost all of my peers that flew C-17s are in the airline track, right? I could walk across the street and fly for Alaska or Delta. In fact, my old squadron commander is one of the chief pilots at Alaska. So he's always like, what are you doing?
Like
Right.
literally, you could send a text message or an email and tomorrow have a $300,000 job. Well,
Yeah, pretty much.
pretty much. I
I mean,
mean,
eventually.
yeah.
Right.
but you wouldn't have to go through what someone like me that just went and got a pilot's license.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to go through the regional jets and then
Right.
you could just go fast track.
Yep. Because I mean, I have about 2,000 hours in command, multi-engine jet, flying international. Like it's the perfect training ground for the airlines, right? And so, yeah, I sometimes felt like you remember the claymation Rudolph movie?
Mm-mm.
You remember the claymation?
I don't know what claymation is.
It's like the classic Rudolph movie.
Oh, okay. Like Rudolph the
Red-nosed reindeer. Yeah. Okay.
It was supposed to be a male, but really it was a female because all the reindeers are females. That one?
That one. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a scene in that movie,
Okay.
if you haven't watched it,
All right.
where there's an elf and elves make toys.
Okay.
And the elf wants to be a dentist. And so he says, I'm going to be a dentist. And everyone just goes like, what? How do you want to be? Like, I feel like that guy because they were like, well, you're going to be an airline pilot, right? And I was like, I don't think I want to. And the reason I'm not is because I love flying, but I'm not that passionate about it. I feel like I've done it. And, you know, I also, when I got out of active duty, we were pregnant with twins. And I'd been gone a lot already, flying a ton of missions. And I just didn't want to be gone anymore. So, yeah, so I got out and I was like, well, I guess I'll just get a job somewhere. And I thought it would be really easy. Like I went to the Air Force Academy, had an MBA, bunch of experience, but man, it was not easy. It was actually really hard. I spent about 6 months listening to people tell me, hey, you don't have the right experience. You don't have enough experience because they look at my resume and they see pilot, right? But was a pilot, but also like an officer in the military. So I ran crews when I would go fly missions, right? I mean, I'd go out for 2-3 weeks at a time with a crew, and we would, you have to lead them through the mission. I'd run shops in the military, and all of that experience, it just never resonated. So eventually, it's a long story short, I eventually ended up getting a job as a contractor at Microsoft. And when I got there, I thought there was going to be something I was missing, some like secret sauce, and there was nothing. What I realized was, my experience in the military as an officer, like, prepared me better than most of my private sector peers, right? Like, I was doing a lot better, and I realized there wasn't anything I was missing. So I was super excited about it. I ended up reaching out to my other buddies that were getting out. I was like, hey, I'm doing great at this. Your experience would apply. You should come and do it too. But the firm I was working for wouldn't hire him because they didn't have enough experience. So yeah, so I just got kind of pissed off about it and started Form 100 Consulting to really do that, to take this untapped talent pool of veterans that are getting out, leaders, senior NCOs, officers, people that have experience leading teams. And then also in the private sector, specifically in the software development realm, where there's just a lack of team level leadership, and connect those two. So, yeah.
It's, as I meet, we're both in Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a very, what's the word? A very elite group of entrepreneurs. It really is, because you got to make over $1 million a year to qualify. You got to agree to the core values, which is confidentiality. Right. You can't talk about anything that happens at Fight Club Forum.
Yeah.
And no solicitation, which wipes out the majority of business owners, because you can't try to sell each other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's less than 3% of entrepreneurs in America make over $1 million a year.
Right.
So it's a very small group of us, but we're in 80 countries, 22,000 members.
Yeah.
And last week I was in Hawaii, in Waikiki, Honolulu, for the Global Leadership Committee or Conference, Global Leadership Conference, GLC. And it's just fun to meet all these people. And there was one guy there, very, very successful business, almost $100 million a year in revenue. He kind of fell into it.
Right.
And he said when they asked him to join EO, he's like, what do I know? Like, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
It's like this imposter syndrome that we have. Like,
right.
I don't know anything. And he goes, you guys are super successful and it's all flashy. He said, after he joined, he realized that they're not that smart, his forum mates. They're not that smart. They just have a different vocabulary than most people. Because we're not that smart, you and I.
Right.
There are things that we are really good at and we're smart at, but there's a lot of things we're not.
Yeah.
And after meeting with entrepreneurs from all over the world, a lot of them just fall into it.
Right.
Like they see a problem, entrepreneurs, that's how their brain works. They see a problem, they see a solution, they fix it. And then, oh, I'm going to sell this.
Yep.
So that's what you did.
Yeah. I mean, and I thought it would be easy, and it's not. I mean, it's not, because
being a business owner is not easy.
No.
Doing payroll and sales and marketing and wearing 15 different hats, that's not easy.
Yeah. No, it's not. And but it's been a ton of fun. Right. Yeah. And that's, doing the EO, for example, has been like just the amount of stuff I've learned in the last year or so, having been a part of the group. Right. There's just so much out there you don't know. Yeah. And it's,
you don't know what you don't know, because if you knew what you didn't know, you would know it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I had a friend. I know a guy, his name is Larry Yatz, Navy SEAL, 20 plus years, ran the largest operation in Iraq, and now he's a business consultant, helps Fortune 500 companies.
Right.
Not in the same business as you, but basically he helps Fortune 500 companies. And I heard him do a speech once, and he had all the stats, and it was with PTSD.
Sure.
We hear about PTSD, and here's the thing with PTSD. It's PTS, post-traumatic stress. And then if you have the disorder, it's just worse PTS.
Right.
Everybody has PTS.
Right.
Everybody. That's how our brain works. If you touch the hot stove when you're a kid, You get PTS, don't ever do that again.
Right.
It's when you can't control your outside environment that it creates issues in your brain. But everybody thinks of PTS as first responders, military.
Yeah.
And he was going through the stats. Entrepreneurs, the average entrepreneur has a much higher level of PTSD and a much higher level of dysfunction.
Okay.
Because we thrive on uncertainty.
Right.
We thrive on chaos.
Yep.
And I think that's why so many veterans go into entrepreneurship, is because one, they come back. I know for me, when I got out of the military, fortunately, I was part of the fire department. So it was very controlled, a lot like, it was very military-ish.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends get out, just like with a lot of your employees get out, and they go into the Microsofts or HPs or just corporate America.
Right.
And they can't handle it. It's frustrating. So they just start their own companies. Are you seeing that? Like,
yeah, I mean, well, it's definitely a different culture, right? And I brief everybody, and I have a training program when I bring people on for how to kind of succeed in the corporate world, let's say. And one of those sections is you're not in the military anymore, and so some of the things you take for granted that you would get in the military don't exist in the private sector. People don't always show up to meetings on time, right? And it sounds like a small thing, but you're like always on meetings and everyone's always late. That you can trust in the military that people are going to do what they say they're going to do, right? And so for the most part, that can become frustrating. And you're moving from a career and lifestyle in the military to a job. And so people may not be as passionate about the work that they're doing, right? It's a job. That's what they do, but it's not their lifestyle. So the transition can be really tough for those reasons. And then I think the leadership aspect too is a big deal. There were things I still see in the private sector that just wouldn't fly in the military.
Yeah.
Right. Because they don't. Not all organizations, but a lot of organizations don't focus on it, right? But in the military, especially in an officer or senior NCO track, you get a lot of dedicated training, right? You get a lot of, and there's just a culture of leadership, mentorship. You get rated on it every year in performance reports, and so I think we take that for granted sometimes. When you get into the private sector, people, it's not their fault. They're doing things that most leaders wouldn't do, but it's because they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I say that in the military and then the fire department. If you don't do what you said you were going to do, somebody dies.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that Larry, he did a little bit of coaching with me, and he's like, because at one point I was very frustrated with my staff where I would tell them to do something, yeah, I'll do it, and then they wouldn't do it.
Right.
And he said, what you need to change is, instead of getting your staff to say, yes, I will do it, it's, do you commit to this?
Right.
And make them commit to booking the hotel room for you, commit to the airline, commit to the Facebook post or whatever.
Yep.
And change that vocabulary that they're committing to it.
Yeah.
Versus, oh yeah, I'll do that.
Right.
Because it's just like, something came up,
Mm-hmm.
And there are some things that, if they're not done today, they could be done tomorrow. Nobody's going to die over it.
Right.
But then there are some things that the company will die.
Yeah.
Right. The company will die, probably not anybody in your company.
Exactly.
If you're running software or whatever. So now with Form 100 Consulting,
Mm-hmm.
tell us about that. Tell me about that. Like, what is Form 100 Consulting that you fell into this business?
Yeah. And at first it was really about like there's an untapped talent pool. There's a need in the private sector. And I learned that the more you niche, the better. And started to learn, I kind of fell into the software development space. Okay. So, and that's really software engineers building and solving really technical problems. And there's processes around that on how they operate. And I found that, our experiences as military leaders fit really well into that space. So What we do specifically is provide consulting and staffing for the support around software engineers. So we'll staff positions like Scrum Master, which is a real position,
Mhm.
right? Product owners, technical project managers, all the roles where they need support and help just getting aligned. And then we'll do consulting on with organizations and programs on like how do you actually structure your program so you can execute. And a lot of it's based off of really what we did in the military, right? Because in the military, you're in a very complex domain, right? There's a lot of things happening and it's complicated, and that's a lot like software development. So
And
that's our niche.
one of my employees he's in the military. He's no longer employed with me because he is in Pebble Beach, Monterey now,
Okay.
learning Chinese.
Okay.
So he's going to spy school. But he was here at Gowan, which is the army base here in Boise, Idaho, and he was running not a tank, but the personnel carriers. I don't know what they're called. They look like square boxes with tank tracks on them.
Okay.
And he was running that. And I was asking him, he's like, "Oh, that's all I do." I said, "There is no just do."
Right.
In the military, in any business, doesn't matter if you're the janitor all the way to the CEO, that job is important. And if that job doesn't get done, the next job can't do it.
Right.
Because if it wasn't important, you wouldn't have the job. You wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't run their companies that way. They think, oh, that person's not important. Like with COVID, the essential businesses got to stay in business. The non-essential.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a non-essential business.
Right.
Or non-essential employee.
Yep.
Now, I'll back up a little bit. Is there such thing as a non-essential employee? Yes, there are employees in corporate America that are non-essential.
Sure.
The DEI department heads, I don't think are essential.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion.
Right.
It's very essential for their cult and their movement, you know. But so that's cool. So you basically bring in officers, that are highly trained, highly qualified, motivated, driven. You bring those into your company, and then you go to Microsoft and say, "Here's some people. I train them up for you," and then you sell them. Not sell them, but I mean, what do you do with them at that point?
Yeah. And so I'll back up for a second here. So software is really built by people. Okay, so technology is built by people and teams of people, and those teams of people are working together with all other teams of people, and so software development just in itself is super complex. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the software world, like you've got databases, and then you've got all the front end like websites, apps, things that you're used to, and then there's a whole bunch of logic in the middle. Because if you click something on your phone, that's got to go get data from a database somewhere, and then it's got to be configured. We have to know which data it is, how to present it. So it's a really dynamic and complex environment, and these teams are operating trying to solve these really challenging problems, and they're also doing that with a bunch of other teams who are trying to solve problems, and they're all interconnected somehow, and they're all trying to do this towards a business goal. And when you really kind of lay out how software works in that in that picture, that's almost exactly like how military operations work, right? Like to your point, the person that is just doing the troop carriers, right? But that's a super critical point of the bigger machine. And so as officers and leaders in the military, we're accustomed to thinking about that. We want to know, like, what's the mission? What's the plan? Like, how do we get everybody aligned? How do we communicate effectively, right? And then how do we set up processes so back to the Swiss cheese example, how do we set up the right processes so we're doing this without crashing the whole system, for example? So what we do is we work with clients who are maybe filling that position anyway, but they want to have someone with that skill set and leadership ability on their team, and to really try to maximize performance for their organization.
So you kind of have a highly elite, lack of better word, special forces team
Mhm.
that a lot of people don't realize what Green Berets actually do in the military. Green Berets aren't the guys that go down and kick down doors.
Right.
They're the guys that our military sends in to train other people how to kick down doors.
Yeah.
They're really consultants.
In some
So
respects,
essentially, you have a team of Green Berets, software Green Berets,
Yeah.
that you will go and bring into Microsoft or an HP and help them develop their software.
Yeah.
And then they sign a contract for a year, 2 years with you. How's that work?
Yeah, so they'll it depends, right? They can so if we're coming in to consult, if we're coming in to say like, okay, let's look through your entire processes and programs and how you're structured, those can be short-term contracts. But then if you want to embed that leadership in your program and really get the value over a period of time, then usually 6-12 month contracts will sign.
How do you keep them from stealing your people?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can do some of that in the agreements, right? There's usually some sort of clause that says, hey, if you hire somebody that we brought in, there's a finder's fee attached to it. But for the most part, that happens a lot. And we're okay with that in some regards, right? Because, I mean, ultimately, we want to also help the veteran that's on our team. If they're like, hey, this is a great fit company for me and I want to stay long term, we don't want to restrict their ability to do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, though, people on our team really like working with a team of veterans doing this type of stuff, and so they make the choice to stay.
Yeah, I could see that if you brought them in and they really clicked, and because I'm assuming these folks have to travel. Is it all?
Most of the time, I don't do that. I don't like to do traveling, so it's going to be mostly co-located if they're in the office, and then I mean, a lot of the technology world's still remote.
Okay, so it's remote. So it's not like they have to go live in Seattle for 6 months
Right.
or 12 months and their family's in North Carolina. Then
we don't do that type of consulting.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Very cool. So how long you been doing that now?
So just about 8 years.
8 years.
8 years.
That's a big deal.
Like 8 minutes underwater, right?
Yeah, 8 minutes underwater with no scuba.
Yeah, I remember I had a mentor once that said, hey, your only goal is to stay in business 5 years.
Yeah.
If you can do that, then everything will get easier.
Yeah.
And so I hit 5 years, and I realized that it didn't get easier.
It doesn't get easier. It never gets
you
easier.
just get better after 5 years. So it feels a little easier.
Yeah. It's my friend Andy Frisella says this all the time, that you set the goal, and before you even get close to reaching the goal, you move it.
Yeah.
And you keep
Right.
moving it and moving it. And, that's actually a problem. It actually is a big problem because you never accomplish it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always trying to get the next thing instead of just, Michael Jordan said it best in The Last Dance.
Yeah.
And it was when he'd won like the 5th or the 6th championship, and the reporter, and he's literally just walking in off of the floor into the locker room or the hallway, and they're like, well, what about next year? And he's like, how about we just celebrate today's win before we think about next year?
Right. Because
a lot of entrepreneurs will do that. They set the goals and then they set a new one and a new one. They never take the time to just like, this is really cool.
Right.
Today I had a massive heart attack in November 2023. Mm-hmm. And my whole life has changed. My work schedule's changed. My family, everything's changed except for my eating, my diet.
Okay.
Because my heart attack had nothing to do with my diet.
Sure.
Or exercise. So that's the cool part, is that part, I didn't have to like change that part of my life.
Yeah.
But today I was walking my dog, and the rivers now and the canals are all full of water. And I love walking next to the canals because all the wildlife. Mm-hmm. I see deer almost every day, and fox and coyotes and rabbits and hawks and eagles and owls and ducks and geese. And then here in about 8 weeks, the canal will be full of little baby ducks. And there's very few things in the world that are cuter than a baby duck.
Right.
They're so cute. So I love walking that with my dog. And I was walking it today. I was like, life is so good. It is 10:30 in the morning. It's sunny. It's windy. But I'm just I'm just cruising along this little canal with my dog. It's
Yeah.
so good. So,
Well-
but that was my goal. After my heart attack, I sat down and I was like, I sat down, I literally laid out what I want my day to look like,
Mhm.
my week, my month, my year. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, one of the mistakes is they're so busy being busy and trying to get the next thing, they miss along the journey. And then I can't remember the name of the guy, but he says that there is no winning the game.
Yeah.
When you're an entrepreneur, there is no end.
Yep.
Like you're not trying to win, you're just playing.
Yeah.
And if you can really turn your business into just playing and having a good time, it does make it easier.
Yeah.
It does make it easier.
I think that's Simon Sinek.
It is Simon Sinek.
Yeah, and it's the it's an infinite game idea, and I really try to aspire to that, which is just stay in business.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're 8 years. I mean, when you make it to 10,
yeah,
which I know you will because you're an EO, and our forum is one of the greatest forums on the planet.
Yeah, it's good. It's great.
So our forum is there 6 of us in there now?
Yeah.
6 of us. We all do over $1 million a year, and we all have completely different lives, completely different businesses.
Yep.
And the cool thing about an EO forum is Nate will never, for the rest of his life of being in our forum, ever have a problem he has to figure out on your own.
Right.
I will never have to figure out any of my problems. I don't even try anymore.
Right.
Like if I literally have something, I'll write it down, put a note in my phone. I'm like, oh, that's something we're going to talk about for him because I don't need to figure it out. And now I don't have to use any of my energy, my brain power trying to figure out this problem that you guys have already solved a dozen times.
And not only that, you get to hear other problems that you don't even know exist. Yeah. And so, that's been so infinitely valuable to have the ability to go, okay, I haven't even thought about what you're struggling with. And I'll probably struggle with that really soon, and I can get ahead of it.
Yeah, you can get it. That is another big benefit. One of our forum mates, I think, is one of the only business owners that I've ever met that was in corporate America. And then he's like, I think I'm going to be a business owner now.
Right.
And man, is he smart.
Yeah.
He's so freaking smart. And the numbers, but he's running it like a true Warren Buffett like business. Like it is all numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And his business is one of the most sexiest businesses out there, guys. He owns Take 5 franchises. He changes people's oil.
Right.
What do you do for a living?
Yeah.
Oh, I change oil. Oh, really? You're a mechanic? No, I have 500 franchises,
right.
But he doesn't. I'm just saying that as an example.
Yeah.
So speaking of, I got off track a little bit with that. With goal setting. Do you do goal setting?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you, what's your favorite way of doing that?
Well, so you mentioned Andy Frisella, and I've listened to a lot of his stuff. So I try to do micro goals, and he had this great idea in some podcasts I listened to where it's like, hey, write down your top 5 things you want to do.
Power list.
A power list.
Yep.
So my daughter last Christmas got me an annual planner.
Okay.
Kind of like one of those, we need to buy dad a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Right. Because it'd be awkward if we didn't.
Yeah.
So she picks up this random thing, and I was like, I'm going to use this every day. Okay. And so I've been doing that every day. I write down my top 5 things, and then that's the goal. Right. And then, I'll also set quarterly goals, and I definitely try to do a full day every year of annual goals. What do I want to get accomplished this year?
Yeah.
Both with the business, but also personal and physical and financial and all that.
Yeah, I do that. I might do something a little different. I mean, I do the power list.
Yeah.
And then I have this. I don't know if I've ever showed you my screenshot. Let's see if it pops up here on my phone. But if you look on my phone, I went and had my team. I had my goals. So this year I want to buy a new motorcycle. I want to buy a house, a condo on the beach. I want to buy a classic car and a classic truck.
Yeah.
I want to go elk hunting, sailing, get back down to 10% body fat, get a new airplane, and learn to play the guitar.
Okay.
So I have it on my phone. And every time I pick up my phone, I see my goals every single time.
Yeah.
So I think it was Napoleon Hill says, if you write it down, make sure you look at it every day. I think Grant Cardone says that he looks at it every night and every morning.
Well, then that becomes a problem. Like there's benefits just to writing it down.
Yeah.
Like that's a great first step, right? You usually thought about it. But then if you don't look at it again until the end of the year, then you start to lose it. And so, I think that I try to at least monthly go through my annual plan, but I love the idea of the pictures.
Yeah. I like it because it's just constant reminder of.
What's your picture for 10% body fat? Do you have
like
ripped abs
actually,
on there?
Yeah, it's I can't pronounce his name, but he played Tarzan.
Okay.
And he's the only 6'3". He's one of the only 6'3" actors. I don't know if you know this about Hollywood. They're all short.
Yeah.
Like if they say they're 5'8", they're really 5'4", 5'5".
Okay.
So there's not very many tall actors.
Yeah.
So it's a picture of him as Tarzan, and he's probably like 3% body fat.
Yeah.
I will not do that because I don't want it that bad.
Right.
Like,
right.
I'm not that committed to it.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question on starting your business.
Yeah.
Did you just bootstrap it, or did you go get an SBA loan? I mean,
yeah,
it's really hard to get an SBA loan with an idea.
Right. And so what I started out with the idea that I could make this work and I still believe this to my core, right? Which is that there is an untapped talent pool of amazing leaders getting out of the military who would be super successful in these roles. And so I started out by myself being the first employee.
Okay.
So I went,
as most businesses do.
Yeah. And so I went in and in this business, doing the work, you learn all this stuff as you're running a business over 8 years. Doing the work is one thing, but then actually getting the ability to get contracts with these larger organizations is another thing. So I started out subcontracting into positions with clients. And then from there, I was able to hire one or two. And then I stayed in the business for probably 5 or 6 years, working directly with clients until we got to a point where I could take a step back, focus more on marketing and sales and trying to refine our delivery. But what's interesting is you said, did you get a loan for this? How the business works is you'll have somebody and say, hey, you're going to be with this client for 6 months. Well, you have to pay them to work for you, right? This is pretty common sense business stuff. Okay. But then you don't get paid for them until after the end of the month when you submit an invoice.
Yeah.
And then their terms can be net 30 to net 60 to net 120, right? Which means how long they have from when they get the invoice to actually pay you. And sometimes they may not pay you at all.
Yeah.
So I got a crash course in cash flow at that point because I realized, I have to pay these people before I even get paid at all. So we injected, maybe 50 grand into the company at one point.
Personal savings,
personal
credit
savings,
cards.
just personal savings.
Okay. Have you ever used your personal credit for your business?
I haven't.
You haven't?
Nope.
Have you ever built business credit at all?
Nope.
No?
You know what? Recently, I just got a line of credit.
Okay.
And because I realized, so that scared me. All right. And I've always been, what'd you say? Older pilots aren't bold. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I've always been a little bit conservative.
Yeah.
When it comes to making sure, we have enough cushion in the company in case contracts go away, right? Maybe there's a bunch of new tariffs that come out or something random.
Yeah.
Like things can happen. And so you want to make sure you have a cushion to absorb that. But I was just losing so much money on just having that just sit there.
Yeah.
And so I reduced that margin with a business line of credit and, try to increase revenue other ways.
I say that credit is, in my opinion, probably the best way to build wealth.
Right.
And it makes it so much easier if you understand it and manage it. And there's a lot of people that don't really understand it, so they're scared to use it. And
Right.
it's probably smart that they don't use it because
Yeah.
they recognize that I probably shouldn't be doing this. But if you can leverage it, it can make a huge difference. I'm not the kind of person that says you should go get an SBA loan so you can start a business, because one, I don't know of any banks that will loan you money for an idea.
Yeah.
Now, banks will loan you money for an established business,
Sure.
which is a booming market right now, buying baby boomer businesses.
Right.
Because these baby boomers, their kids don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
and they have no way out. I have friends that are just buying businesses left and right.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to do something, that's probably what I would do, is buy a bunch of plumbers,
Right.
HVACs,
Yeah.
any welding, etc. So
Sure.
leveraging your credit is extremely important and very valuable if you do it.
Yeah.
The next biggest thing that I see most entrepreneurs making mistakes on is their taxes. So I want to put you on the spot here. What do you do? What's your favorite tax strategy if you have one? Or are you like 93% of business owners that rely on their CPA to handle their taxes for them?
I'm in the 93%. And my biggest mantra is don't go to jail.
Don't go to jail.
One of them is like, I used to say this in the military a lot. I'd be like, hey, let's make sure no one dies, and let's stay out of prison.
Yeah. And I bring that up, and I knew you were going to get a little nervous with that question, because I've been pushing you to stop paying so much in taxes.
Yeah.
Forbes did a study, and they found that 93% of business owners paid more than they were legally required to pay in taxes.
Makes sense.
And I know I've been pushing you, and I'm just going to use this as an example. And a lot of business owners are afraid to do this. But under the tax code, you're allowed to hire employees. So your business can go out and hire employees to scale, right?
Yeah.
There's also another part of the tax code that says that if your children work for a a family-based business, which it's you and your wife and your other employees. So it's a family-based business that you can hire your children to help with stuff. Like your daughter could be running your LinkedIn page.
Yeah.
Your kids, your boys, you have a home office, I assume?
Yeah.
They could vacuum, they could empty the trash, wash the car.
Right.
So there's things that you are doing today that you could pay your children to do. And you can pay your children $15,000 as of 2025, $15,000 each.
Right.
So that's $45,000 that you can make under Form 100 consulting. Literally take it out of your business bank account and transfer it to your children there's a way to do it.
Right.
So you don't have to pay payroll taxes. And then your kids don't have to file a tax return, and they don't have to pay taxes. So that's 45 grand that Form 100 could be paying for children's expenses, their clothes, their camps. I'm assuming your boys living in Idaho are going to want to do some outdoor stuff.
Absolutely.
So instead of you and your wife paying for it out of your pocket, the kids would pay for it out of their own bank accounts.
Yeah.
So it's just one of many things you can do. And I'm going to keep pushing you.
I know.
And pushing you. Like, think about this. If you did that this year, that would pay your EO dues for the next 3 years.
Right.
So there's a way to think about it.
That's one way.
If I just go and listen to Rondi and do it.
Yeah.
So, what do you got going on, Reese? Or what do you got going on next? What's the plan for the business? Scaling, growing, hiring?
Yeah. I mean, so we're it's pretty dynamic out there right now. And
how are they with all the tariffs and what's going on with what Doge is doing and the Trump administration's doing? Like, what's the feeling that you're getting from some of these Fortune 500 companies you're working with?
Yeah.
Excited, depressed, anxious, scared? What's the...
Yeah, all of those, right? Yeah.
Well, it's a daily. It's like an entrepreneur. I sleep like a baby. I wake up every 15 minutes crying. And I shit my pants in the middle of the night.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, it's having an impact for sure. Right. And so there's a few things that I'm seeing. Like, one, obviously there's been a lot of layoffs in the government sector, but also in the consulting and staffing industry attached to the government. And so there's been a ton of contracts that have been cut. You'll hear the Department of Transportation say, "Oh, hey, we just cut $4 billion contract or a $500 million contract." And so I think a lot of the bigger companies are hurting all of a sudden because these steady government contracts are now under scrutiny, right? And so there's a lot more people in the market too, right? Especially in the tech consulting world. And so from a staffing perspective, like really what I'm focused on now is differentiating the value we can bring. And I feel super confident that what we deliver is just as good as any of those high-end, super high expensive consultancies. In fact, I think it's a lot better because of that unique experience skill set that we bring. And so doing things like this, trying to get out more and really hone in on showing the value that we bring. And a lot of times in our space, processes around software development can get kind of fuzzy, and it can get, not really concrete on the ROI that you'll receive. And so between that and AI coming out, I mean, there's a lot of dynamic change in the industry for sure.
Okay. Do you, you're saying earlier before we started that you got a big speech or a talk you're going to be doing in a couple weeks?
Yeah. So there's a West Point entrepreneur event that Microsoft is hosting. So I'm going to go and give a talk about, how you actually scale your software development programs, right? So if you're a startup and you start out and you have one team of a couple engineers, right? You're in your garage building like Ubers for toasters or whatever your idea is. If that catches, you're going to scale rapidly, and you're going to go from one team to 3 teams to 6 teams, and things are going to get complex really fast. And so one of the areas we really specialize in is how do you keep your team and program aligned so you can actually deliver value? Because software development is super expensive. Engineers are expensive. Technology is expensive. So if you don't do that right, the software development programs can literally stop functioning. And they can be you can be spending, here, let me give some numbers. Like a software development team costs on average $2 million a year for an organization. So if you were to go out and say, I want to build a school of wealth app, and I wanted to hire all my engineers to do it, it cost you about $2 million. Now you wouldn't do that. You would outsource it because that's more expensive. But a lot of these big companies keep it in-house because they want to keep the data, privacy, security, liability. There's a lot of reasons. And so they can have dozens to hundreds of software development teams. So we're 20, 50 million, huge budgets.
Yeah.
And if those teams aren't communicating with each other and they aren't actually aligned on what they're supposed to be delivering, just like a very complicated military operation, it could stop functioning completely.
It could look like the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Right. No, I think it's a great example because there's so many things that we do well as military leaders and how to operate in these complex domains that software development programs benefit from like a lot because if not, they're just flushing money down the toilet almost.
So you're going to do a signature talk or something there?
Yeah, I'm going to do a talk on that of really how we approach that, how we identify where the problem points are. Okay. And having done it now for 8 years, there's a lot of commonalities and patterns and things that we see. So we're able to easily assess where the problems are so we can fix them fast.
Very cool. Speaking of credit in Microsoft, Microsoft has, I don't know if you know of this, many people don't. Microsoft has a $500,000 loan program at 0% interest for startups.
Oh, really?
And established software companies.
Oh, okay.
So we got approved for Fortress University. It's our online education.
Yeah.
And we got approved for $500,000. It's a 10-year loan at 0% interest, and Microsoft makes the payment. It's a grant. I had to personally guarantee it.
Yeah.
But as long as I continue to use Microsoft as our cloud base for our servers and stuff, Microsoft makes the monthly payment, no interest, and they eventually pay it off. It's almost like in the military with your GI Bill. Mm-hmm. You get the student loan, and then as long as you stay in the military, they pay off the loan.
Right.
So I'll get you the information on that because I think you would probably qualify for it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's $500. It's free. It's free money.
Okay.
So, Nate, it's been great to have you on the show. I'm glad I was your first.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
So welcome to the podcast world. If someone want to look you up, if they run a software company or any type of company and they want a consultant to come in, where would they find you?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, which I'm sure will be in the show notes, but it's form100consulting.com. And you can follow me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm the most active.
And what's your LinkedIn? Is LinkedIn /
Yeah, Nate.Amidon, I think.
Nate.Amidon. Amidon.
Amidon.
Am I done?
Am I done?
Am I done?
Without the E, of course.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So it's been fun.
Super fun.